Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I finally have one on the channel. I've put it off long enough. I gotta talk about one. Today, we're taking a look at the SOG Terminus XR and S35 VN Steel. Before I go any further in this video, though, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and follow along, and I'm going to continue to bring you guys the content as always. And before I go any further, I also want to thank someone else, because this knife was sent to me by a fellow Instagrammer and YouTuber, Ronnie Bala. That's his handle for Instagram, so give him a follow. He's kind of new to the EDC community. Let's welcome him in there and make him part of the community. Thanks a lot, Ronnie, for sending this to me. And let's get into some, oh no, gosh, not size comparisons yet. Let's go over some overall specs on this knife. We have an overall length of 7 inches, a blade length of 3 inches, a cutting edge of 2.75 inches with a blade width at 1 inch and a blade thickness at 0.11 inches. We have a blade material of CPM S35 VN and a drop point style blade. In the spec sheet here, they have it listed as a hollow grind. And I'm struggling to feel that hollow grind. It feels more like a saber grind to me. So I'm going to go with the saber grind. If any of you guys know more than I do, I don't know though. I think my feel is pretty good. It definitely does not feel like a hollow grind. So we're going to call it a saber grind. Has a very nice satin finish with a 4-inch handle length and a handle width of 0.875 inches with a handle thickness coming in at 0.45 inches. The handle material is a G10 with a carbon fiber laminate that they actually made look somewhat appealing, so I'm going to give SOG some credit here in just a bit. And we have a right hand, left hand tip-up carry with a weight of 3.32 ounces and a price of only $84.95. So I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you for the price, $84.95 is completely, absolutely good to go with this guy. No problems there. I do have an issue with this knife, a huge issue, but we'll get to that here in a second. First, let's do some size comparisons. Let's start off with the two that I think is probably in the biggest ring of competition for this knife. Personally, my own personal opinion, the Civivi Elementum and the Benchmade Bug Out. This is very similar to those lines. I think it was definitely made to compete in right here. Obviously, I know we have a low, medium, and high price range. I get that, but you know, not everyone can afford a Bug Out. Not everyone wants a Civivi. This is nice middle grounds for people. It's actually very nice middle grounds for multiple reasons. But again, let's not get too off track just yet. So there we have your Elementum and Bug Out. Let's take a look at some other knives. We have the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio, and we have one of my new favorites, the Kaiser Dukes. This thing is smooth. Love the action on this guy. Love the design of that guy altogether. But again, pretty good comparisons in length. And this Biblio really, actually not. Yeah, it's not that really close. The Biblio just has an extra little bit of, I guess, a little girth around the handle, so you don't quite. Not quite a good comparison. But now let's take a look at some more premium comparisons here. We have the Quiet Carry Waypoint, and we have the ProTech Malibu. Again, not very comparable to any of these really in hand. Really, in all honesty, when it comes to ergos, I think I would probably go with the, I would absolutely go with the Bug Out. And granted, again, this aftermarket brass scales, but the Bug Out is definitely the closest knife I have to in relation to actual feel in hand. But again, there's your size comparisons to give you an idea of the length and overall size of this guy. And now let's talk about it. And before I do that, I'm even going to say I've made an effort to put off SOG on this channel because I have just really had no desire to review a SOG for a couple reasons. I'll cover them as I go through this. I just didn't want to, because I didn't want to be that negative. But I will be damned, I don't have a whole lot of negative things to say about this one. This knife really did impress me right out of the box, and it almost kind of pains me to say it, because I was sure this knife wasn't going to be that nice, and there's actually a lot of nice things about it. We'll start with the blade, as always. Design-wise, I find it to be very attractive. Just a simple blade design, a little clip point, just very nice. Not too big, not too short. Kind of an average behind the edge, though. We're looking at 21 thousandths, so it slices fairly well. Not a slicing machine, but again, for EDC tasks, it's going to be just fine. I do like the swedge up at the top, and it has a pretty nice tip. I definitely would not worry about breaking that off. You still don't want to use it as a pry bar, but again, you're not talking about anything too dainty at the same time. And a very nice sharpening choil, which you don't see on enough knives nowadays. Could be a little bigger, but still, I'm gonna give SOG credit. It's well done. It's well placed. It's not doesn't look weird. It's a nice little sharpening choil. It'll last a very, very, very long time on this knife. And the jimping on the flipper tab is very nice. Works extremely well with the deployment of this blade, except for the jimping on the top. Once you deploy this blade, yeah, you can put your finger up there, but it's kind of like putting your finger on a, why am I losing the word? It's like putting your hand on sandpaper, worse than sandpaper. For the life of me, I cannot think of the word I'm trying to use to associate this with. But as you can see, it's just real pointy. And that's my biggest issue. The best jimping on a spine, in my opinion, is done by Giant Mouse. They do a fantastic job, and as you can see, it's more rounded, and it's not sharp one bit, and it's a little finer. So when you put your thumb up there, it's all you need, just enough to bite your thumb. And this thing is like just letting a dog get pissed off and bite your hand. I mean, it's aggressive jimping, overly aggressive jimping. A little unnecessary. I think if you sanded that down, it would probably do a lot of good. But the jimping on the flipper tab is very, very nice. No issue with that whatsoever. I was very pleased to see that when I started to deploy the blade. Now, the handles and ergos. So we have the good and we have the bad on ergos. There's a lot of good. There's really just one bad. We'll get that last, but let's go over the good, because there's a lot of good. With the ergos in general, are more than good, not great, but completely, totally fine with me. It's actually a pretty slim knife. I think if you compare it to the Bug Out, it's going to be right there in overall thickness. Just about the same, maybe the same. But yeah, very, very good comparison there. If you like the thickness of the Bug Out, again, aftermarket scales. But as you can see, it's still not that thick. Let's do this. Let's do the Elementum, because a lot of people have that. And as you can see, it's almost, yeah, it's really pretty much the same thickness as the Elementum. Little different feel in hand. But I don't know. I gotta say, yeah, the Elementum has a little more round contours around the sides of the handle, but pretty similar comparison there as far as ergos go. But yeah, nice slim carry. I really like the lines on the carbon fiber laminate. So many companies use the G10 carbon fiber laminate, and I mean, Civivi does it, a lot of them do it, and they don't look bad. They look decent, but I really like these lines. They add a nice texture to the knife. They take away from the smooth top of the laminate, and it also gives you an extra layer of aesthetics, because you go from the carbon fiber into the G10 where you don't get quite the reflection from the carbon fiber down there. Some people may not like that. I actually really like that. I applaud SOG, because I don't think I've ever seen that done before on scale. So I actually really like that a lot. And I also like the very good amount of skeletonizing in here. As you can see, all the way down here, they got you can see better. Yeah, as you can see in there, a lot of parts skeletonized out there to reduce some weight in this knife, and you definitely do notice that. Like I said, 3.32 ounces. This knife carries very, very well. Rides just fine in the pocket. So I like that a lot. And I also really like the texturing on the XR lock. I'm going to call it tab. I don't think it's a button, so I've just been calling it a tab. But tab or button, whatever. The XR lock on the outer face of the knife kind of reminds me of, call me crazy, but it kind of reminds me of the texturing on like a Microtech switch, just on a much smaller version without, different shape, but it's the levels of milling, and it bites your finger really well. You can easily, it's very easy to just pull down on it, and your fingers never slip off. I have deployed and fidgeted with this knife a lot over the last few days, and not once have I had a misfire or misdeployment due to my fingers slipping off the XR lock. So I really like that a lot. I hope they keep that up and really not change a thing, because I think they have this XR lock patented down pretty darn well. Not patented, but figured out. I do like this. I gotta say, well, we'll wait till the action now, but that was all the good. And like I said, there was a lot of good, but there is one very bad, ugly, horrible part of this knife, and it's a stinking pocket clip. SOG, why? Or SOG, why? I have no idea why they felt the need to make such a loud and obnoxious clip with their name in there. On top of that, the ramp is good. It goes into your pocket just fine, but it sticks out a lot at the top up here, and you don't have a lot of room there. I put this into my jeans. Right now, I'm wearing American Eagle? No, Express jeans, and, they're nothing... They're not really that thick. They're actually thinner than my Banana Republic jeans, but you got to really push it down, and then you got to pull it out real hard because there's just not enough room in here. You want this part here, obviously. You guys all know how a pocket clip works. I'm not trying to make it sound like you don't know that, but, all the pressure's right here, and you want just a little bit of, extra room up here so it's not all down there like a vise, because then it can be a real pain to pull it out of your pocket, and that's what you have here. I'm not a fan of this pocket clip whatsoever. If this was my knife, I would probably take this pocket clip off and either make my own, or just I'll make a slip for it before I use this pocket clip. As a matter of fact, I'll be completely honest, this pocket clip is probably the reason I would never buy one. Now, I'll address that a little more at the end of this video, but I really hate this pocket clip that much. It is my least favorite pocket clip I've ever seen on a knife, and I truly mean that. Don't like it whatsoever. That's the ugliest part of this knife, but the rest of it's good. That was what I was hinting at earlier. You take away this pocket clip, and you have a really darn nice knife, and that's really frustrating to me that this one thing is that big of a turnoff for me. But the action is actually great. The XR lock, they did a very good job on it. It works great with the thumb stud, and it works great with the flipper. And to close it, I mean, look, I kind of feel like I'm fidgeting with the 80-20 just because it's that easy. The 80-20 is the easiest knife I have to open and close. And, I don't own this, but I currently have it. Of all the knives in my house right now, this is probably second on the list. And it's ahead of the Benchmade Axis locks. I don't have any other knives with an Axis lock, I believe, other than just the Benchmades. And I only have 3 of those. But this is good. This is really good. Every time I use this knife or fidget with it, I like it a little more. I hate the pocket clip just as much, but I like the knife a little more. And I was not expecting that whatsoever. Not at all. But it's at first out of the box, the XR lock and like the kind of like the smoothness and the way the mechanism worked, it felt more mechanical than your regular Axis lock. You guys know some of your Benchmade Axis locks can be rather buttery, and they just drop shut and swing out. And this took a little breaking in. And again, even when you break it in, it doesn't feel at all like an Axis lock. I think primarily because of this the outer face here, the XR lock. It operates different, and it's just really good. It is really good. The jimping on the flipper tab, like I said earlier, that right there makes it a breeze to flip it out, and the thumb studs work absolutely great. I actually have yet to middle finger flip this, and you can do it. So it's checking off all the boxes for me. Feels good in hand. Action is really good. The only issue with this lock, and I almost forgot about it because as you guys saw, I was blowing through the fidgeting with this and deployment, but you want to be careful when you are flipping it, because when I first got this, I'm not used to having, like I said before, all my Axis locks were Benchmades, and Benchmade, for the most part, doesn't make flippers. So I wasn't used to having the lock mechanism right where my thumb is. So when I went to flip this open, I would have my thumb right here, and it would still kind of work, but depending on how hard you push your thumb down, that can be very hard. So you have to be kind of cautious to have your thumb out of the way. Keep your thumb down here and your other finger just kind of down there on the knife, and it flips out just fine. It really is a smooth deployment both ways. Thumb stud's pretty easy. You have your finger up here, but you're not really pressing back because you have it pressed down in the bottom of your palm here, and it just flips right out. So I'm surprised. I just, at the end of the day, my overall thoughts with this knife are, I really like it. I really like it, and to be totally honest, if it didn't have this pocket clip, I would buy one. And if you guys are fine with this pocket clip, if you're okay with that, again, different folks, different strokes. Some people don't care that much. I really do. So I'm not going to have anything to do with this clip. But if you don't mind this clip, absolutely. For $84.95, this is a fantastic knife. It really is. The action's great. The blade is good enough. And the fidget factor is on a scale of 1 to 10, 11. It's that good. It really is. So SOG has really, really impressed me with this one. I'm glad I got it on the table again. Ronnie Bala, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. I'll get this back to you as soon as I can. And what do you guys think of SOG? Everyone says they're making improvements, and I think they are. This right here, they definitely are. I like this a whole lot. I may even look into aftermarket clips for this, because if you can get an aftermarket clip, it's a knife that's absolutely worth buying. It really, really is. It's a great little piece minus the clip. I mainly wish SOG would do away with their loud and proud branding. I'm never a big fan of loud and proud branding for anything whatsoever. It's just, I find it to be a little obnoxious. And again, that's personal preference. I'm never trying to really talk anyone down on this channel. I mean, you guys have heard I hate this clip, but like I said, I'm giving this knife props because I think a lot of other people would really, really like it if they're okay with the clip. Overall, it is a very solid knife. I just wish it would be a little more minimal. The SOG up here, that's all cool. The blade branding's fine. And then it's like they just threw up on the bottom of this knife with this clip. And it's, why? I'd like a little cleaner part there. But again, overall thoughts, I'm getting lost in the weeds here. Overall thoughts, it really is a great knife. It is. I'm glad I had a chance to get this on the table and get this out to you guys. And like I said before, what do you guys think? I think people are very hot or cold with SOG. I am officially medium, and with this knife, I would say I'm hot. I just will wait and try and find another clip or something. But that's that, guys. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.